Hello, everyone, and welcome to my spoiler review of Marvel's Eternals. This film is an ambitious experiment and has surpassed Thor the Dark World as the MCU's most divisive film to date. But is this reputation warranted in the latter case? Let's open it up and find out. The film opens on a text scroll explaining about the Celestials, their enemies the Deviants, and a group of heroes known as the Eternals. The team we'll be following in this movie concludes Cersei played by Gemma Chan, and Icarus played by Richard Madden. Chan plays a very different character than Captain Marvel, and more on that later. The team is sent to Mesopotamia in the year 5000 BC. Johnny tells me this film will be another experiment in Phase 4. And telling me so far we've had a spy thriller, emotionalist fantasy story, and now a non-linear sci-fi fantasy epic. It may not have been what I was expecting, but then again, that's what I found so interesting. The sequence results in her member joining their ranks, Sprite playing with Liam McHugh. One of my favorite characters is the Speedy Macquarie, played by Lauren Ridloff. Her role marks the franchise's first canonically deaf hero, and I'm looking forward to the Echo series expanding on that. Another key member is Thana, played by Angelina Jolie, and she will definitely be important to talk about later. After the Marvel vanity plate, still liking how showy it gets, we transition to London in the present day with the musical cue being set to Pink Floyd's Time, a song I absolutely love. Susie goes to see her associate Charlie Whitman, played by Kit Harington of Game of Thrones fame. After giving a speech about apex predators, an earthquake occurs, though thankfully no one is hurt. Later that night, a deviant arrives on the quayside, the first sighting in millennia. Elsewhere, Cersei and Whitman embrace in the pub as part of his birthday celebration. I can definitely say this movie earns PG-13. On that note, this fight in the back streets of Leeds is actually pretty impressive, and director of photography Ben Davis does have experience with the MCU, along with other films ranging from Layer Cake to The King's Man, and even the music video of Kylie Minogue's Please Stay. Icarus returns to defeat the Deviant. I really like how Cersei can turn the double-decker bus into rose petals among other actions. Cersei, Icarus inspired her to determine her next move as they realize they need to find the rest of the whole team. This leads to a previous encounter here in Babylon in the year 575 BC that introduces us to Kingo, played by Kumar Nanjiani. Even though I'm not as big a fan of his acting as others, he is a welcome inclusion to this movie, as is his character. More on that later. We also have another appearance from Don Lee as Gilgamesh, who previously appeared in Shang-Chi. Cersei confers with their mentor Arishem, voiced by David Kaye. I have more to say about Arishem later, but I am glad to have any character voiced by the Beast Era and Unicorn Trilogy Megatron, as well as animated Optimus Prime. His words about the other Celestials are strangely ominous. More on that in a bit. As a scientist, Faustos, played by Brian Tyree Henry, works on Invention, the steam engine. I must say I really enjoyed the visual style of the movie. Both Eve Stewart and Clint Wallace have done a spectacular job with production design. Really adds to scale of the movie. Faustos settles on a plow to determine that we're not ready for the steam engine just yet. Sprite also entertains early humanity with her illusions. Another key member is Ajak, played by Salma Hayek. The next day, Icarus goes to see Cersei, and the two make love on the beach. Like I said, this film definitely earns its PG-13 rating. Let's say it's a group to Empire in the year 400 AD, with Cersei and Icarus before we cut back to the present South Dakota. They reach a safe house, but discover Ajak has been killed by a deviant. As Sprite and Icarus converse, a spear emerges from Ajak's body into Cersei, along with a message from Arishem saying it's almost time, ominously. Sprite speaks with Cersei, and she lets her and Icarus know about what's happening. It was by Tenochtitlan in the year 1521. Another cast member is Drew, played by Keoghan. He has the power of persuasion, as to talk Thana down if she goes rogue in battle. I mentioned this before and it bears mentioning again. The film has an interesting balance between the cosmic elements of Jack Kirby stories and the more character-driven stories in the Neil Gaiman run. I happen to prefer the latter. Anyway, after deciding against wiping Thana's mind, Drake leaves the group not to return 500 years. That is a drop into immortality, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. The rest of the group also goes their separate ways. Back in the present, Kingo is a Bollywood star in Mumbai, India, passing himself off as part of a long dynasty of actors. I would totally watch a film about that. Insert release the Kingo cut joke here. Also introduced to his favorite valet, Karun Patel, played by Harish Patel, fittingly enough. Though most of the team is happy to have him back, there is some friction between him and his brother leaving in Macedonia. The team lands in Australia and discovers left another deviant. This is where Athena's been hiding out with Gilgamesh and Sprite taking her down in a surprisingly dramatic scene. After everyone groups over a meal, the next move is for Cersei to confer with Arishem. Cersei discovers what's happening as part of the plan for the celestial Tiamat. This also implies that Ego in Volume 2 makes him less of the exception to Celestials harvesting planets for energy and more of the rule. It's also not exactly set for Galactus and Silver Surfer to appear in the future, but it's close enough. Cersei realizes everything she's been told is a lie, and now falls upon the Eternals to stop the emergence. Even her home, Olympia, was an illusion, and she was created with the others in the Warforge. This also makes me wonder how they'll handle Kang the Conqueror as an next big threat in the series. Arishem also created deviants to keep balance when things went awry. Cersei, as a new Prime Eternal in Ajax's stead, tells everyone else that the Mad Weary thing in from was decided after Arishem tampered with their memory and everyone else's. This is heavy. And given how I view a spy thriller and emotionalized fantasy story, it's getting dark in Phase 1 was a 1. Now, it falls to the remaining Eternals to reunite their team and stop the emergence. I am not certain if Thanos was an Eternal himself, but it's possible he was connected. The team travels to the Amazon and finds Druig hiding out as a missionary. Admittedly not the worst cover in that environment, helps keep a low profile among both mortals and deviants. There's some friction between Druig and the others, with some bad blood remaining from the last meeting. Druig is also not happy about his purpose. Like I said, the film's tone is somewhere in between the original Jack Kirby stories and the Neil Gaiman ones. As Kingo remarks Druig sucks, justified, the villain's attacked by a deviant. With their combined might, the deviants drive him back and Cersei transforms into a tree. The village is no longer safe as Druig tells everyone there to leave. We just passed the halfway point, and while I can understand how a lot of people felt, I can also say I've seen it viewed worse. Anyway, after Deviant incorporates material from Gilgamesh, the team realizes they're not the safe as they once were. The Gilgamesh is mortally wounded in the process, dying at Athena's side. The group realizes they need to find Phastos. Now comes part of August 1945, which revealed that Phastos was responsible for the top ball and drop then. The studio wanted this part cut, but the director insisted to be kept in. Needless to say, Phastos regretted this deeply and left the team after that, and has rejoined him in prison in Chicago. Originally just to his partner Ben, played by Hans Seaman, and his son Jack, played by A-side Daniel Cross. I honestly don't see what some international markets are so mad about, or how this kind of relationship is more unbelievable than anything else in this verse. On that note, we're given the implication that Superman and potentially other characters from the rivals exist in this series. Same with the Star Wars technical manual Icarus reads. Nice synergy. I always kind of like those books, still do. Also, trailer scene of Icarus wrecking the table. Phastos reluctantly rejoins the team, leaving Ben and Jack behind as the background music plays Skeeter Davis' End of the World. Good song, especially knowing what lies ahead. The group returns to their ship in Iraq, and that's admittedly a cool shot of the group emerging from the dust, with the Domo arising from its hiding place. Makari has been keeping watch over the ship, and she's not too pleased that her entire mission and everything she has been told is a lie. Phastos realizes they need to focus their energy on the Unimind in order to stop the emergence. We'll get a flashback to Icarus meeting with Ajax in South Dakota, 6 days before everything started. I will admit, the long days did start out kind of strange, but once I picked up what they were laying down, I got it. The talk about the decimation is also important. On that note, Icarus takes Ajax to Alaska as several deviants from the past were frozen ice before they thawed out. Icarus then turns on Ajax. I guess not entirely a surprise he's one of the Game of Thrones alumni in this cast. Still, he is shown to be conflicted about what he's done, much as everyone else is in this cast. As the emergence begins, King Karun stays behind while the rest of the Eternals, having the sickening truth, decide to confront Tiamat. The finale, which takes place on an island in the Indian Ocean, is actually quite impressive even watching this at home. Volcanoes erupting, explosions everywhere, fighting their way to Tiamat. There's a lot to enjoy here. This may be my favorite one of Phase 4, but it's nowhere near the worst Marvel-related movie I've seen. With the team's combined might, the The last deviant is down so she can reach Tiamat. I really like how the movie flips the script on the character type that Gemma Chan played in Captain Marvel. I'll just deal with the sequel and spin-off series that comes. However, Sprite confesses her major problem with immortality, the drawback of having to watch everyone she cares for grow old and die when never being able to experience that herself. Druid knocks out Sprite and says she burrows toward Tiamat. Athena kills the last deviant as the emergence finally begun. Icarus confronts Circe but cannot bear to finish her off. As the chorus swells, Unimind is activated, stopping emergence just in time. Icarus realizes now going back from what he's done, flies in the sun to sacrifice himself. Insert Iron Maiden reference here. With their task complete, the Grus go up their separate ways as Circe reunites her Whitman. The film closes on a cliffhanger that sets up the next entry in the series, as Arishan calling them back makes this the first in a planned trilogy. I am very eager to see what that entails. Our first thing is set to Foreigner feel like the first time, which is two characters we definitely won't be seeing the last of. Eros is Star Fox in relation to video games, played by Harry Styles, and his companion Pip, played by Patton Oswalt. The second Stan sees Whitman open a box with a sword called the Ebony Blade. We hear the voice of Mahershala Ali as Blade, and a message saying the Eternals will return. And very much open that prospect, and to the Blade Reaper being the franchise's first potential R-rated film. So, having watched this again to review it, I still submit while the film does have issues, I do think it was an experiment I enjoyed watching and talking about. Despite admittedly surpassing Thor the Dark World as the most critically divisive film in the franchise on Rotten Tomatoes as a Metacritic, audiences and fans have been much kinder to it, and it still made over $164 million domestically and over $401 million worldwide on a $200 million budget at its release, and has been very successful on Disney+. Worse than all, I love how Chloe Zhao answered the question, what if Marvel wanted to make a DCEU film? I wasn't sure at first, but I also did get all the Zack Snyder as a template trends in my feed after I saw this. This is by no means the worst movie I've seen and reviewed under the Marvel banner. Not even close. Depending on what happens, I may not do a spoiler review of Spider-Man No Way Home after it comes on digital and Blu-ray. Thank you for letting me share this with you all. Take care.